Welcome back, guys. This video is going to show you how to simplify expressions with rationals and radicals mixed together. Let's get started. So the first one, we have a radical expression being multiplied times a rational expression right here. So what I recommend you do first when you mix them is just put them both in rational form. That makes it a lot easier to combine. So since we have the square root, we can assume that our root is 2. So that means that we are taking everything that's under the root and we're raising it to the 1/2 power. We're going to multiply it times what's beside it. Okay. So the next thing is to use our superpower rule. Just because it's fractions doesn't mean anything changes. So since we're raising everything over here to the power of 1/2, that means that we can just use our power rule there. So we're going to multiply it times each exponent. I recommend that you write the exponent for everything in the parentheses, especially for that y. So m squared, the 2 times that 1/2, it gives us m to the 1 power. I'm going to write the 1 just so you guys can see it, but you don't have to write 1 if you don't want to. Then we have y to the 1. We're going to multiply the 1 times 1/2, so we get y to the 1/2. And let's put everything else together. Now we have everything in the same type of form. Okay, so now we can combine like bases. So we have m to the 1 and m to the 1/3. Now with this one, we're using the product rule. Okay, since they're being multiplied together and they have the same base, you're going to add their exponent. So 1 plus 1/3, if you need to do that on the side, and you can, or if you need to use your your calculator, you can too. But that gives us m to the 4/3 power. So we've taken care of those. Now for our y's, we have y to the 1/2 times y to the 3/2. So when you add those two together, you end up getting y to the 4/2. And we know that 4/2 is equal to 2. So that will give us y squared. So that would be your final answer. I'm going to write it a little neater over here. M to the 4/3 y squared. So that would be our simplified answer. For this one, we have a fraction that has a radical expression, and then we have just a regular exponent, which is nice. So first thing, again, that I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite the radical using rational. So I have 4 up top still, and I'm going to take what's underneath my radical, x squared, and I'm going to multiply it times the rational for the radical. Now again, remember, if you have the square root, your root is 1/2. Your root is 2. So you're raising it to the 1/2 power again. Okay, and we're still multiplying it times x to the 3rd. So when you multiply the 2 and the 1/2, we're using our power rule here, you end up getting 1. So that's 4 over x times x to the 3rd. Now there's a number of different ways you could go from here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just multiply straight across. So we know that this is over 1, and when you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. So you get 4 times x to the 3rd divided by x, because 1 times x is x. So now we can use our quotient rule. In the bottom, the x is being raised to the 1 power, and up top, the x is being raised to the 3rd. So since we have the same bases, we can just subtract the bottom number from the top. So you get 4x squared. And that's our final answer. A lot neater that way. Alright, for this next one, it's kind of big, but it's not that hard. So the first things first, again, we're going to rewrite it using the rational. So I take what's on my inside, And because I'm taking the third root of it, I'll put it as 1 over 3. And I'm rewriting the rest of the problem. All right, now I'm going to use my power rule. Again, please make sure that you know what the exponents are for everything that's in it. So I'm going to go ahead and write a 1 for my 8 because it's 8 to the 1 power. So that way when I do my power rule, I'll remember to multiply it times that 1 as well. So when I apply my power rule, I get 8 to the 1/3 power. I get m to the 5/3 power. I'm multiplying each exponent times 1/3. And then I get x to the 2/3 power. And matter of fact, I don't really need to have parentheses anymore. So I'll erase that. Once you apply that product rule, you don't really need, the power rule, you don't really need the parentheses. So now we can add like terms. Now, this 8 to the 3rd power is nice because it's a perfect cube. Okay, the cube root of 8, you can put this in your calculator. You would have to put parentheses around the 1/3 though. But the cube root of 8 is 2. Because 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. Now I have this m to the 5/3 and m to the 3rd. So I have to add their exponents now this time using our product rule. So that gives you 6 over 3. And I'll just put it on the side. 6 over 3 we know is equal to 2. So we have m squared. Now let's do the x's. We have 2 over 3 plus 2. Okay? That becomes 2 over 3 plus 6 over 3, which is 8 over 3. So that would be one simplified way to write this expression. All right, for our last problem, we have a fraction here, and they're both written in radical form. So again, I'm going to put it in rational form. That will become, because it's to the 1 power, and it's a 5th root, 1 over 5. And here you would get 27x to the 1/3 power, because your root is 3. Now, I'll bring it over here. Can't really simplify the top, but I can simplify the bottom. That will become 27 to the 1/3 power and x to the 1/3 power using my power rule. If you put this in your calculator right here, you will get that the cube root of 27 is actually 3. And you don't always get a perfect cube, unfortunately. Okay, so the last thing that we want to do is we want to combine the bases. When you do that, you'd have to use your quotient rule, which is to subtract the bottom fraction from the top. So I'll make my side note here. That ends up being 1/5 minus 1/3, which ends up being their common denominator is 15. You could put this in your calculator if you wanted to, but I'll do it the long way. So that becomes 3 over 15 minus 5 over 15. And that becomes negative 2 over 15. So a little shortcut. Let's save us some time. If it ends up, when you subtract your bottom from the top, if it ends up being negative, what you're going to do is you're going to put it in the bottom. So we already have the 3 in the bottom. Now we have an x to the 2 over 15. So put it in the bottom and just make it positive. That'll save you a little bit of trouble. And since we don't have anything up top anymore, there's just a 1 up top. So that would be our final answer for that one. Thanks for watching.